It's the gift that keeps on giving. Pay attention to how people make you feel. These are things that I've learned and applied into my life, and I try to make it simple as possible. The gifts that I give to my friends, they are very thoughtful, sometimes not too overly calculated. It's very natural. For example, I gave a friend a Italian leather journal because I knew she loves music, she loves to write, she loves rap, and so why not? I gave a friend a gimbal, a nice piece of technology to upgrade his content. I gave it also is magnetic for his iPhone 12 Pro Max. I gave a Facebook Portal Mini, which is like a digital LCD display with cameras on it and digital photos and stuff such. I gave it to him because he had told me several months ago that the idea of having one would be great for business, and not to display all that, but I thought about it and I gave it to him because I knew that he would appreciate the pictures that he sees and the Zoom meetings that he will use it for his business, And so I decided that this is my purpose, because people like to give gift cards out and such, and that's great, but I'm a very sentimental person, and I try my best to be creative as possible, but once I started to apply to pay attention to how people make me feel, it simplified a lot of my life. And the mind can play tricks on you, and sometimes what looks good isn't really what is right for us, and you have to I bumped my toe a day before Valentine's Day party, and I was bleeding from my pinky toe, and I was so upset. I couldn't believe it. I was gonna go dancing the next day, and me being me, I'd like to find meaning and everything, even though some things just happen, right? But it's for fun. I like to exercise my imagination. That's how I can do podcasts like this. I can talk straight from the dome, and so I use my intelligence. And what I think about the meaning, I think maybe life is teaching about awareness, self-awareness, because I kept dropping things at work and kept getting angry and upset, and there's small little signs that we need to pay attention to at times, whether it's in our cars, whether it's in our heart, the way we feel about people, and over time you start to see it, and over time my body starts to say, you need to stand up and speak up for yourself. And if I don't, it bottles up and it's not healthy. And so what ends up happening is my heart starts to tense up. Now I start to feel it more. It doesn't feel right. And now I have no choice. It seems as if like I really want to live the life that I want to live to the fullest, but it contradicts my body and mind. And so it does something like create a volcanic eruption. And so I decided to be graceful again and to understand that I need to simplify things and not make life too complicated. And the problem that I see with a lot of my friends is that they try too hard to make their craft perfect. When me, I'm just gracefully doing it and sharing it and seeing what happens. And that's what they don't do, because they don't think like that. And that's okay, because for what one does or what one doesn't do serves a purpose. Gives me a job to do what I love to do here. And so I started to continuously do things like, and it goes back, the gift that keeps on giving. When I was a kid, I gave out a film capsule, back in the 90s, and they were full of quarters. And I would give it to these two girls in elementary school. And this girl named Roma, she would say, "You're very generous." And it's not an uncommon word to hear even as a kid, but it's that word still stuck to me to this very day. And I look back in hindsight and I realized, oh my God, like all the way back then to entering adulthood to the man I am today has always been a generous person, except the gifts that I give is a lot bigger toys now. It's more technology, it's more sentimental, it's things that will last forever. And then if I can't give something of material, the best gift is my own presence. That's my present, right? And so the things that we were born with for free sometimes is very costly if it gets taken away from us. If I scream at the top of my lungs going to a concert and I lose my voice that was given to me for free, it's very costly. And so what I had to do was just open up the box, right? And just let out, because I finally found the courage to be happy. And let me tell you a couple of things about how I found this in 2021. I met two very, very attractive women a few years ago. And the stories of how I met them was almost like a movie. My mind played tricks on me because I didn't pay attention to how those two made me feel. And later on in life, it starts to make sense. When I got to this point in my life, I realized that I have a habit of self-doubts and self-hate because of somebody else not being able to accept me for who I am. And so for some reason I put into my head that everything is my fault and I'm undeserving of love. And what that does is that it creates more of that reality. And so I decided that the only way that I could possibly find peace is not hanging out with my boys and venting all day about my problems. The only thing that I knew was to relax, be patient, and to continue doing things that made me feel good. And so the more I kept doing that, the more I realized that I was creating a habit that turned into a way of life. And then I look at the people around me, and now I start to see that they were going through things that I used to go through for years, or maybe my whole life. And that was when I realized, for what one does or doesn't do serves a purpose. And so it gave me a purpose to bring a voice to share with the world, like what I went through. And when I picked up this camera and when I started picking up this microphone, it was always destined in me since a child leading up to this present moment. And so I think it was just a matter of time before I had to open up my gift box that was hidden inside. And and the more that I was living in my truth, the more that I started to see what I needed to see. And that was the fake and the real. I started to see that the insecurity instilled upon me was from people that live a life with regrets. And I was told by a friend's mother, I was told by a friend that her mother, when she was on her deathbed, had finally admitted after all these years that she had wished that she lived the life as she did. And when she left the hospital, she had, after her mother passed, she saw that, the school bus was driving and kids were outside playing and that life went on. And I always had this mentality, like if I wanted to get out of a nasty situation with somebody, if I'm upset and I'm not happy, I'm losing. But if I'm happy, I'm winning. And it doesn't matter what it is. And so I decided to change the narrative. This is what I want to do and be happy. What makes me happy? I do that. And it opened up doors and opportunities. And I think people overcomplicate these things. You could turn your gift into something magical.